Welcome to today's deep dive into the top cybersecurity and tech news stories.
We've got a lot to cover.
We do. From a sneaky new VPN backdoor to a surge in crypto attacks.
Plus how AI is changing security. For better and for worse.
Ready to be informed?
Let's jump in.
Let's start with that VPN backdoor.
It's a newly discovered vulnerability targeting enterprise VPNs running Junos OS from Juniper Networks.
Okay. And what makes this backdoor so, concerning?
It uses magic packets.
Magic packets?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Those sound more like something out of a fantasy novel.
Right.
Than a cybersecurity threat. What are they?
Imagine a secret knock.
Okay.
That unlocks a hidden door. That's essentially what a magic packet does.
Okay.
It's a specially crafted data packet that triggers an action on a device. So in this case, the magic packet activates the VPN backdoor, but only when it receives a specific signal. Otherwise, it lies dormant.
So most of the time, it's just, hiding.
Exactly. It's very difficult to detect.
With traditional security tools.
Right.
Oh, so it really is like a sleeper agent, waiting for the right moment to strike. And considering the target here, enterprise VPNs used by tons of organizations, this has the potential to be a very big deal.
Absolutely. This highlights a crucial point. Even systems designed for secure connections, like VPNs, they can be compromised.
Right.
This really emphasizes the need for a layered security approach, and it underscores why keeping software updated is so important.
This brings up something I was thinking about. We've seen a surge in crypto attacks recently.
Yeah.
Is there a connection between these attacks and, vulnerabilities like this VPN backdoor?
Not a direct connection, but they both highlight the evolving nature of cyber threats. We have a report from Canary Tract indicating a 56% surge in crypto stealer detections.
Wow.
Across Windows, Android, and macOS.
Goes everywhere.
Yeah, the decentralized nature of cryptocurrency. While it is a strength, it makes it hard to trace funds, making it a very attractive target.
So it seems like wherever there's a lot of money flowing, cyber criminals are kind of lurking nearby, ready to pounce.
Yeah.
Let's talk about AI.
Sure.
It seems to be everywhere, and not all of it is good news, especially from a security standpoint.
That's right. Meta's large language model framework, Llama, there's a vulnerability that could allow attackers to remotely execute code on servers running it. And it's not even that complex. It's actually a common coding oversight. But in the context of AI, the potential impact is huge.
So it's not just data at risk here, it's the AI itself. That's a bit unnerving, honestly.
And it is. Think about it. If someone gains control of the AI, they could manipulate its output, feed it false information, or even turn it into a tool for malicious purposes.
And with AI being integrated into more and more systems, the potential attack surface just keeps growing.
Yeah.
This highlights the need for robust security measures.
Absolutely. And it emphasizes the importance of collaboration between AI developers and cybersecurity professionals, and even policymakers, to ensure AI is developed and deployed securely and responsibly.
Speaking of security breaches, the one at Change Healthcare, impacting nearly 200 million people. That's a stark reminder of what's at stake here.
Data breaches of this magnitude are a societal problem.
Yeah.
This one involved personal health information, which makes it even more sensitive. It raises questions about data security practices, incident response plans, and the trust we place in organizations handling sensitive information.
It's not just a U.S. problem either.
Yeah.
There was a cyber attack on D-Trust,
a
subsidiary of the German Federal Printing Office.
Yeah.
Discovered on their application portal for signature and seal cards. But what's interesting here is it wasn't a typical cyber criminal. It was a security researcher who found an open API that gave access to the data.
This raises questions about the balance between responsible disclosure and the potential legal ramifications for security researchers who uncover vulnerabilities, even with good intentions. It's a very complex issue.
Okay, so we've talked about vulnerabilities and breaches. Let's talk about solutions.
Yeah.
One that I've seen gaining a lot of traction is MDR.
Managed detection and response.
Yeah. MDR organizations are increasingly turning to these services to help kind of bolster their security.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's a few things.
Okay.
The threat landscape is evolving at a rapid pace.
Right.
Organizations struggle to keep up. MDR providers offer specialized expertise and technology to augment security teams. They can help organizations better detect and respond to threats, reducing the risk of a successful attack.
So it makes sense. It's like having a dedicated team.
Yeah.
On call 24/7.
Yeah.
But what about organizations that aren't ready for a full-fledged security team?
Right.
I've been reading about the rise of the Virtual Data Protection Officer, or VDPO.
The VDPO is a great option for organizations that require expertise but aren't ready for a full-time DPO. They offer specialized knowledge to ensure compliance with complex regulations like GDPR.
So it's like having a consultant on retainer. That's a pretty smart move.
It is.
For organizations trying to navigate the complex world of data privacy regulations. But, technology and services are only part of the equation, right?
Absolutely. The human factor is critical.
Yeah.
We need more diverse perspectives, especially women in cybersecurity.
This is something that I'm very passionate about as well. It's not just about fairness. It's about making cybersecurity more effective. Diverse teams bring a wider range of experiences and skills.
Absolutely.
Which is so essential in a field as dynamic as cybersecurity.
Yeah.
What kind of steps are we seeing to kind of promote this?
Organizations are implementing new policies, mentorship programs, flexible work arrangements, even childcare assistance.
Wow.
To create more supportive environments.
That's fantastic.
These efforts are critical to attracting and retaining talent and building a stronger, more inclusive workforce.
So it sounds like the industry is finally recognizing that diversity is not just a buzzword.
It's a necessity for success.
It is.
As the cybersecurity landscape continues to evolve, the need for diverse perspectives will only become more critical.
Now let's zoom out a bit. Look at the global landscape.
Yeah.
There's an interesting report about the ASEAN Digital Ministers meeting in Bangkok.
It was a significant event, emphasizing regional collaboration to combat cybercrime. This underscores that cyber threats don't respect national borders. The ministers discussed a few things: operationalizing the Asian Regional Computer Emergency Response Team, or CERT, to enhance information sharing and incident response.
So are we looking at kind of like a cyber NATO for Southeast Asia? That's pretty fascinating. Yeah. And it sounds like they weren't just focused on, reactive measures, but they're looking at the challenges posed by new technologies.
That's right, like generative AI.
Okay. Did they discuss any specific concerns or strategies related to AI?
They addressed issues of misinformation, bias, and cybersecurity vulnerabilities.
Okay.
They updated the ASEAN Guide on AI governance and ethics, demonstrating their commitment to responsible AI development and deployment.
That's great to see.
It is.
Speaking of global perspectives.
Okay.
What were some of the key takeaways from the cyber discussions?
Sure.
At the World Economic Forum?
At Davos.
Yeah, in Davos.
The main theme was the increasing complexity of the cybersecurity landscape.
Makes sense.
Geopolitical tensions, rapid technological advancements, and evolving criminal tactics. It makes predicting and mitigating cyber risks much more challenging. They stressed the need for collaboration between governments, businesses, and international organizations.
Collaboration really does seem to be a key takeaway from all the news today.
It does.
Which makes sense. We're also interconnected.
We are.
In the digital world.
Yeah.
But let's dive back into some specific threats. Ransomware.
Yeah.
It continues to be a major problem.
It does.
Doesn't.
One stat that jumped out at me was that ransomware payments are up over 5 times compared to last year.
Wow, that's huge.
It's huge. And it's driven by increasingly sophisticated attacks, the rise of ransomware as a service, and the willingness of organizations to pay ransoms.
It's almost like a perfect storm for cyber criminals.
Yeah.
We actually have a story here about threat actors using SSH tunnels to target ESXi appliances.
Yeah.
These are often found in smaller businesses and home labs.
Right.
This really drives home the point that nobody is immune to ransomware.
That's right. Attackers are constantly devising new ways to exploit vulnerabilities, regardless of the size of the organization.
So really, everyone needs to be prepared.
This underscores the importance of basic security hygiene, like software updates and strong passwords.
Right, those are the foundations of a good security strategy.
Yeah.
But even with the best defenses, you still have the human element.
Yes.
Which brings us to phishing attacks. They continue to be successful.
Phishing is still one of the most effective attack vectors.
Why is that?
Attackers are always evolving their techniques to bypass filters and deceive users.
So are we talking about, those clunky phishing emails of the past?
No. We're seeing a rise in AI-generated phishing scams targeting executives.
Oh, wow. So they're leveraging AI now.
They are.
To craft these very sophisticated, personalized messages.
Attackers are exploiting the fact that executives have access to sensitive info and financial systems.
This makes security awareness training even more crucial.
Absolutely. Employees need to be trained
Okay.
on how to identify red flags
Yeah.
and report anything suspicious. It's about cultivating a culture of security.
Speaking of creating a culture of security,
Okay.
we have an article here about rethinking file sharing practices, particularly in the context of tax preparation.
Tax preparers often struggle with secure file sharing methods.
So what are they doing?
They might rely on email, which is insecure, or consumer-grade file sharing platforms, which lack the necessary security features for sensitive client data.
So it's about finding a balance between convenience and security. What do you suggest?
The article suggests that tax preparers can improve by using encrypted file sharing services and implement strong access controls.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about ensuring client data is protected. Now let's shift gears to a case that seems straight out of a spy thriller. We have an article about a North Korean IT worker involved in a $1 million fraud scheme.
This case reviews how North Korean IT workers are exploiting remote work opportunities for financial gain. They steal identities, create fake profiles to secure contracts, then funnel earnings back to North Korea.
So this is a reminder that cybercrime is often intertwined with geopolitical motivations.
It is.
And it highlights the need for thorough background checks and identity verification processes.
Organizations need to be aware of the potential for identity theft and fraud, especially with remote work. Implement robust security measures to verify identities and monitor activity.
It's about finding that balance
Yes.
between flexible work arrangements and maintaining a secure environment.
Right.
Now, this story might resonate with some of our listeners. A security flaw in Subaru's Starlink connected vehicle service.
Security researchers discovered this vulnerability, exposing vehicles and customer accounts in the US, Canada, and Japan to remote attacks.
So what were they able to do?
They accessed sensitive information, manipulated features, and even potentially unlocked and started cars remotely.
Oh, wow. That's scary. It's a reminder that as cars become more connected, they also become more vulnerable. What can the automotive industry do about this?
They need to prioritize cybersecurity from the ground up. As vehicles rely more on software, security can't be an afterthought.
So we need a shift in thinking, from seeing security as an add-on to an integral part of the design.
Precisely.
Now, let's turn our attention to a company taking a very proactive approach to cybersecurity, i.e. security. They've announced a new initiative to help organizations comply with the Department of Defense's Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC 2.0.
This program is designed to safeguard sensitive information held by defense contractors. IE Security is providing training and resources to help meet those requirements.
Okay, so they're helping to kind of fill the need for more cybersecurity expertise.
They are.
Which is great to see. Now, let's look at a vulnerability that could have serious implications for the open source community. Multiple flaws in the Git credential retrieval protocol.
These flaws could have allowed attackers to access credentials. They stemmed from the improper handling of messages in Git's credential retrieval protocol, which could have exposed sensitive information.
So even widely used, trusted open source software can have vulnerabilities.
It can.
And it highlights the importance of community vigilance, responsible disclosure, and patching. It's about working together to ensure the security of the software we all rely on. Speaking of working together, there's an inspiring story about how ASEAN ministers are forging new security pathways united against cybercrime.
This is a positive development, a testament to the power of collaboration.
So what are some of their key focus areas?
They're tackling online scams, strengthening cross-border data governance, and promoting responsible AI development. They even discuss securing critical infrastructure, like submarine cables and digital identification systems.
It's great to see such a comprehensive and collaborative approach.
It's a model for others to follow.
It is. Now, Cyber is urging organizations to prioritize patching for 7-zip, Windows, and Fortinet. Why is that?
They highlighted several critical flaws, including a remote code execution vulnerability in the Aviatrix controller, a mark-of-the-web bypass vulnerability in 7-zip, and a heap-based buffer overflow vulnerability in the RISync file synchronization tool.
That's a lot.
This is a reminder that vulnerability management is ongoing. Attackers are always searching for new ways to exploit weaknesses. They emphasize the need for strong security practices, like network segmentation, incident response planning, and regular vulnerability assessments.
It's about taking a proactive approach instead of just reacting to threats.
Okay.
Now, we also have an article here about best practices for securing SaaS environments. More and more organizations rely on cloud-based applications.
Right.
So this is very timely.
It is. The article highlights the shared responsibility model of cloud security, where both the SaaS provider and the customer have roles to play in ensuring data protection. They emphasize the importance of strong access controls, data encryption, and regular security assessments.
So it's about understanding those unique challenges
It is.
of the cloud and implementing safeguards to mitigate the risks.
That's right.
We have another article on managing hybrid workforce risk in the age of flexible work.
This is a critical topic, as the shift to remote and hybrid work models has created new vulnerabilities.
Absolutely.
The article emphasizes securing endpoints, implementing strong authentication measures, and providing employees with security awareness training tailored to the remote work environment.
So it's about adapting to the new reality.
It is.
Of work. Now, let's talk about how AI is revolutionizing investigations in the field of digital forensics.
This is a fascinating area where AI is transforming traditional methods. AI-powered tools can analyze massive amounts of data, identify patterns, and uncover evidence that humans might miss.
So it can enhance both the speed and the accuracy of investigations. Now, this article highlights the evolving relationship between network and security teams.
In the past, these teams often worked in silos. But with the increasing complexity of threats, they're working more collaboratively.
It's about breaking down those barriers.
It is.
And fostering a culture of shared responsibility for security. Let's talk about a security concern that is particularly relevant to the healthcare industry. A report revealed that 84% of healthcare organizations experienced cyber attacks just last year.
That is alarming.
It is.
The report highlighted the need to address human risk and cyber culture challenges. They emphasized strong security awareness training, robust access controls, and a culture of security throughout the organization.
So again, this underscores the point that security is everyone's responsibility.
It is.
Not just the IT department.
Right.
We have an article here on why Netgate needs a bug bounty program. The author argues that bug bounty programs are a great way to identify and address vulnerabilities, leveraging the expertise of the security research community. They pointed to Ubiquiti as a prime example of a company with a successful program.
That makes sense.
It's a great way to tap into the collective wisdom of the security community to improve security. There's also an article about the benefits of hiring a virtual CISO.
This is a great option for organizations that need expert guidance, but don't have the resources for a full-time CISO.
It's about finding the right security expertise to fit their needs. Speaking of expertise, I-Need Security is back in the news. They've announced a new program to help companies accelerate compliance with CMMC 2.0.
This is a valuable initiative, as CMMC 2.0 is complex.
It is.
With stringent requirements. I-Need Security's training and resources can help navigate the process and ensure they meet the standards.
That's fantastic. Now let's talk about these AI-generated phishing attacks. This article discusses how cyber criminals are using AI to craft convincing phishing messages, making it much harder for users to spot scams.
It does.
The article emphasizes the need for advanced security solutions and user education to combat these threats.
Absolutely.
So it feels like we're in an arms race with cyber criminals.
We are.
Now there's also a report about the theft of $69 million from the crypto platform Femex.
This shows the security challenges facing crypto platforms.
What happened?
Attackers exploited vulnerabilities to access user funds, leading to a significant financial loss.
So this underscores the need for robust security measures, like multi-factor authentication and cold storage for digital assets.
And regular security audit.
Absolutely. It's about protecting those digital assets with the same care as traditional financial institutions. Now we have a report about Tesla owners falling victim to a $100,000 scam.
Oh, wow.
Targeting individuals who wanted to purchase the Cybertruck. The scammers promised early access in exchange for a large upfront payment.
And then what happened?
Which, of course, never materialized. It's a classic example of advanced fee fraud.
It is.
So this is a reminder that excitement and hype can cloud our judgment and make us vulnerable.
It's always important to do your research. Verify offers, Be cautious of upfront payment requests.
Especially for high-value items.
Right.
Now let's shift focus to the potential security risks of shared subnets on AWS.
Okay.
This article discusses a feature request for AWS to allow sharing subnet names with external accounts.
I see.
Currently, only subnet IDs are visible,
Right.
which can make managing and securing shared subnets challenging.
So it's about improving visibility and control. Shared subnets can be great for collaboration, but they can also introduce security risks if not properly managed. The ability to share subnet names would enhance security by making it easier to enforce policies and identify vulnerabilities.
Now let's move on to a story about a vulnerability in GitHub Desktop that could lead to credential leaks through malicious remote URLs.
This vulnerability stemmed from how the app handled certain types of URLs.
Okay.
Potentially exposing sensitive info, it's crucial to thoroughly vet new technologies before adopting them and stay current with security patches.
This really highlights the importance of staying informed about potential vulnerabilities. Now, let's talk about the OWASP Non-Human Identity Top 10 project. This was just launched by OWASP,
Okay.
and it aims to raise awareness of security risks associated with non-human identities, like APIs, service accounts, and IoT devices.
This is particularly relevant as we rely more and more on APIs and devices.
It is. It's about expanding cybersecurity to encompass those non-human entities interacting with our systems. We have another article on managing hybrid workforce risk. In the age of flexible work, this one discusses the unique security challenges
Right.
of these new work models. It emphasizes the need for adapted security practices and employee awareness training. It highlights securing endpoints, strong authentication, and a culture of security that goes beyond physical boundaries.
It's about adapting security practices to the reality that the traditional office perimeter no longer exists.
Exactly. Now, the World Economic Forum, their recent meeting in Davos, cybersecurity was front and center.
It was. World leaders emphasized the need for greater collaboration to address cyber attacks. They talked about developing international norms and standards for cyberspace and fostering trust and transparency.
It's about recognizing that cybersecurity is a global challenge. That requires a global response.
It does.
We have an article about AI and digital forensics. This discusses how AI-powered tools are really revolutionizing investigations, enabling analysts to process data and uncover evidence more efficiently. However, it also raises some ethical considerations about using AI in law enforcement and the potential for bias.
So while AI can be a powerful tool for good,
Yeah.
we need to be mindful of its potential downsides.
We do. Let's talk about Cisco. They recently addressed a denial-of-service vulnerability in ClamAV, which is an open-source antivirus engine. This one was tracked as CVE 2025-2128.
Okay.
It could have allowed attackers to launch denial-of-service attacks against systems running ClamAV.
So this demonstrates the importance of vendor accountability and regular security updates.
It's reassuring to see companies taking responsibility for the security of their products.
It is.
Now, this article discusses a recent phishing campaign that was targeting executives using AI-generated messages to evade filters and trick victims. So this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It emphasizes the need for ongoing training to educate employees about the latest techniques.
It's about empowering individuals to be the first line of defense against cyber attacks.
Exactly. Now, let's discuss the need to rethink file sharing practices, especially as organizations embrace cloud computing. This article points out how traditional methods, like email, are often inadequate
They are.
for protecting sensitive data in the cloud. It highlights using encrypted file sharing services and strong access controls.
It's about adapting security practices to the new realities of cloud-based collaboration.
Exactly. And this report about a North Korean IT worker who infiltrated those remote work platforms
Right.
to steal money highlights how cybercriminals are exploiting those vulnerabilities to steal information.
It does.
It emphasizes robust identity verification and background checks, especially for remote workers.
It's about ensuring trust and verification in the digital world.
It is. Tripwire published 2 articles highlighting security considerations for organizations. One focuses on balanced cybersecurity in the transportation industry. They commended the Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, for their proposed rules requiring organizations to follow guidelines for managing cyber risks, reporting incidents promptly, and addressing physical security concerns.
The other article
The other article focuses on best practices for securing SaaS environments. Again, emphasizing that shared responsibility model
Of cloud security.
of cloud security and the importance of access controls,
Yeah.
data encryption, and those regular security assessments. So it's great to see companies providing this practical guidance
It is.
to help organizations improve their security. Now, we've got another story about a vulnerability. In Subaru's Starlink,
Right.
connected vehicle service, that could have allowed attackers to remotely control certain vehicle functions. So again, this highlights the need for the auto industry to prioritize cybersecurity and design security into these connected vehicles from the start.
As cars become increasingly reliant on technology,
Right.
security needs to be a fundamental consideration.
Not an afterthought.
Yeah.
Now, this article defines non-public personal information, NPI, and it discusses the risks associated with its unauthorized disclosure. It emphasizes the need for organizations to implement safeguards, like access controls, encryption, and data loss prevention to protect sensitive information.
Data privacy is paramount. Organizations have a responsibility to protect information.
They do. Now let's look at a new malware loader called Mince Loader that's being used to distribute various payloads.
This highlights the increasing sophistication of cyber threats and the need for advanced security solutions to detect and mitigate these risks.
It seems like the threat landscape is constantly evolving and becoming more complex.
It is.
Now, Meta
Okay.
addressed a vulnerability in their Llama large language model framework, tracked as CVE 2024-5005.
Okay.
This could have allowed attackers to execute arbitrary code.
Meta's quick response to patch this flaw highlights the importance of responsible vulnerability disclosure and staying updated with patches.
Yeah, collaboration between security researchers
Yeah,
and organizations is crucial for a safer online environment.
it is.
We have another story about a newly discovered VPN backdoor. This one targets enterprise VPNs running Juniper Networks' Junos OS.
This backdoor used magic packets to avoid detection.
So it's back to those magic packets.
It is.
This emphasizes the need for advanced solutions and proactive threat hunting.
It does. Even systems designed for secure connections can be compromised.
It's a constant cat-and-mouse game
It is.
between security professionals and attackers. SecPod published an article on vulnerability management and cybersecurity trends to watch for in 2025.
The article highlights the evolving threat landscape and the need for organizations to adapt their strategies. They talked about the growing importance of AI in cybersecurity, the increasing sophistication of ransomware, and the need for a proactive and collaborative security approach.
It's about staying ahead of the curve.
It is. It's about staying ahead of the curve and preparing for the future of cyber threats.
Absolutely. Now, earlier we were talking about that human element in cybersecurity. Let's delve into that a little bit deeper. There's an interesting article from JISA Softtech about hiring a virtual data protection officer, or VDPO.
This is becoming a popular option for organizations that need guidance, but might not have the resources to hire a full-time DPO. VDPOs offer a very cost-effective way to ensure compliance.
So it's like having a data protection expert on demand.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Especially as those regulations, like GDPR, become increasingly complex.
Yeah.
But, technology and expertise are only part of the equation.
They are. We also need to address the human factor.
What about the role of cybersecurity awareness training in all of this?
You bring up a crucial point. There was an article highlighting the rise in phishing scams, which continue to be a very effective attack vector.
Why is that? Are attackers just getting that much more sophisticated?
They are. They're using AI to create these very personalized phishing messages that can easily bypass security filters.
So even with the best technology, we're still vulnerable to human error.
That's the reality. That's why ongoing training and awareness campaigns are so vital. Employees need to be educated about the latest phishing techniques and empowered to spot and report suspicious emails. It's about creating a culture of cybersecurity awareness.
So we need to move beyond that check-the-box mentality.
We do.
When it comes to training.
It's about making cybersecurity part of the organizational culture, not just a set of rules.
Absolutely. Cybermaniacs had a couple of articles as well, highlighting some important security considerations.
Yeah.
One focusing on managing the risks associated with the hybrid workforce in the age of flexible work.
Organizations need to adapt their practices to this new reality, focusing on securing endpoints, implementing strong authentication measures, and providing tailored training for remote workers.
So it's acknowledging that the traditional office perimeter has dissolved and adjusting our security strategies accordingly.
Precisely. Another article discussed the statistic that 84% of healthcare organizations experienced cyber attacks last year.
Wow. It seems like healthcare is constantly under attack.
It is. The article highlighted the challenges this sector faces, particularly around human risk. And that cybersecurity culture, they emphasized the need for robust training, access controls, and a culture of security.
So again, it reinforces that point that security is everyone's responsibility, not just the IT department.
Exactly. Everyone needs to be aware of the risks and play a role in mitigating them.
Absolutely. Tripwire also published an article about bug bounty programs.
Bug bounty programs can be an invaluable tool for identifying vulnerabilities before they're exploited.
It almost sounds like crowdsourcing security testing, tapping into that global network of experts.
They incentivize security researchers to responsibly disclose flaws.
It seems like a really efficient way to find and fix vulnerabilities.
It can be very effective.
Now, Cybele had a few articles as well about the latest cybersecurity trends and vulnerabilities. One article discussed a vulnerability in GitHub Desktop that could allow credential leaks through malicious remote URLs.
Okay.
And they also detailed a new malware loader called Mince Loader that's being used to distribute payloads.
This highlights the sophistication of malware and the need for those more advanced solutions.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that the threat landscape is constantly changing. We can't afford to be complacent.
We can't. We need to be constantly learning and adapting.
Stay ahead of the curve.
Vigilance and adaptability are essential.
Absolutely. Now, on a more positive note, there was a report about the 5th ASEAN Digital Ministers meeting in Bangkok. Leaders from those Southeast Asian nations gathered to forge new security pathways.
That's great.
Focusing on online scams, cross-border data governance, and promoting responsible AI development.
So a very positive example of international collaboration.
It is. It really sets a precedent for other regions to follow.
It does. Now let's talk about data backup and recovery. With ransomware on the rise, having a robust data backup and recovery plan is critical.
So it's not just about preventing attacks,
Right.
but also minimizing the damage if one succeeds.
Precisely. You need to be prepared to restore operations quickly and efficiently if a data loss incident occurs.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about minimizing downtime and the financial impact.
That's right. Which brings us to the rising cost of cybersecurity.
Yeah. It seems like it's getting more and more expensive to stay secure.
As the threat landscape becomes more complex, organizations are spending more. It's about finding that balance between investing in necessary security measures and managing costs effectively.
Absolutely. So how can organizations do that?
They need to prioritize spending based on risk assessments, explore cost-effective solutions, consider leveraging shared resources, or managed services.
It's about making smart decisions to get the most out of their budget. Let's talk about AI. It has the potential to really revolutionize cybersecurity, right?
It does.
Yeah.
AI-powered solutions can analyze vast amounts of data, identify patterns, and detect threats much faster than traditional methods. However, AI can also be used by attackers to create more sophisticated malware and automate attacks.
It's a double-edged sword. How can organizations harness the benefits of AI while mitigating those risks?
Organizations need to invest in AI-powered solutions, but also make sure they have the expertise and processes in place to manage potential risks. It's about harnessing AI for good, but guarding against its misuse.
Now let's talk about the Internet of Things, or IoT. These devices are everywhere these days.
They are, and they often lack basic security features, making them prime targets for attackers. Organizations need to prioritize IoT security by implementing strong authentication measures, securing communications, and regularly updating firmware.
It seems like those devices are often an afterthought when it comes to security.
They are. It's crucial to recognize that IoT devices are an extension of the corporate network, and they need the same level of protection as traditional IT systems.
Cheap SSL Shop published an article about installing an SSL certificate on Vesta CP, which is a web hosting control panel. SSL certificates are crucial for website security, right?
They are. They protect sensitive information transmitted online. This article provides instructions for installing a certificate on Vesta CP.
So it's making it easier for people to implement basic security measures.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked a lot today about specific threats and solutions. Let's take a step back and think about the bigger picture here. What are your thoughts on the need for a more proactive and collaborative approach to cybersecurity?
I think traditional security practices are often reactive,
Right.
but in today's threat landscape, we need to be proactive. This requires collaboration, not only within the organization, but also with external partners, security vendors, peers, and law enforcement.
It's about breaking down silos and working together
Yeah.
to anticipate threats.
Exactly. We need to move beyond that traditional perimeter-based security model and adopt a more holistic, integrated approach.
So let's not forget physical security.
Right. While we focus on digital assets, physical security is just as important. Strong physical security measures, like access controls, can prevent unauthorized access to facilities and equipment.
It's another reminder that security is multi-layered.
It is.
It's not enough to just focus on the digital world.
We need to consider the physical as well.
Absolutely. The Hacker News published several articles about the latest threats, vulnerabilities, and best practices.
Those articles are a great resource. For anyone who wants to stay informed about cybersecurity developments, they cover everything from malware to hacking to data breaches.
It's about empowering people with knowledge to stay ahead of the cyber threats. Cybersecurity is constantly evolving.
It is.
What final thoughts would you want to leave our listeners with as we kind of wrap up this deep dive?
Cybersecurity isn't a destination. It's a journey. It's an ongoing process of learning, adapting, and improving. We need to be vigilant, proactive, and collaborative in our approach. It's about embracing continuous improvement and recognizing that security is everyone's responsibility.
Well said. And that's a great place to pause. When we come back,
Okay.
we'll wrap up today's deep dive
Oh.
with some lighter news from the world of tech.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground today, from vulnerabilities and attacks to solutions and strategies. But before we wrap up, I want to share a story that caught my eye about an unusual incident in Tbilisi, Georgia.
Oh, yeah, the musical buses.
Yeah, the musical buses of Tbilisi.
I was wondering when we'd get to that.
So picture this. You're on your morning commute, and suddenly your bus starts blasting patriotic pro-European anthems.
Not exactly what you expect on your way to work.
Not at all. Turns out it wasn't some sudden surge of national pride.
It was a hacker.
A hacker with a taste for political messaging through public transportation. That's certainly a new one. What happened?
Someone hacked into the public transport system and used the bus speakers for their own agenda. It's a pretty harmless hack, but it raises questions about the security of critical infrastructure.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what other unexpected hacks are out there.
It does. It brings us to an important point. As we conclude our deep dive, cybersecurity isn't just about preventing major data breaches or attacks. It's about understanding that vulnerabilities exist everywhere. And even small incidents can have ripple effects.
So it's about awareness, taking precautions, and staying informed about the evolving threat landscape.
Precisely. And as technology continues to advance, the cybersecurity landscape will only become more complex and challenging.
That's a bit daunting, but at least we're all in this together, right? And with resources like the Deep Dive, we can stay ahead of the curve and navigate the digital world safely.
I agree. Knowledge is your best defense. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay informed.
Well said. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Stay safe out there.